Okay, we're going to start the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee meeting. It is October 16th. Do we have courtesy of the floor? Seeing none. Second on the agenda is a presentation from Farmland Preservation regarding the 2025 Agriculture Conservation Assistant Program grants.
Okay, first we're going to provide a quick update on the Farmland Preservation Division. The prior administrator retired in April. My name is Ryan Shaw. I am the new administrator. This is Claire Wesner. She is our new resource specialist. And we recently hired a new technician, Isabella Velez, but she is on vacation this week. We also wanted to update, we moved from the Greystone building basement over to Louise Moore Park Farmhouse at 151 Country Club Road, Easton, Pennsylvania, on the second floor offices. Main read, also on the 29th of September, we celebrated our 20,000th acre celebration at Unix Tree Farms. Currently, we have 271 farms preserved on over 20,000 acres. We currently have 11 farms in the easement process, accounting for just over 550 additional easement acres. The Agricultural Conservation Assistance Program, also referred to as ACAP, I want to briefly discuss that. There is a resolution in front of council at tonight's council meeting with the ACAP program. A brief history of the program. The ACAP program was created through the Clean Streams Fund established by the fiscal year 2022-2023 Pennsylvania budget. ACAP provides financial and technical assistance for the implementation of best management practices on agricultural operations within the Commonwealth. ACAP was dedicated $154 million from the Clean Streams Fund to reduce non-point source pollution in Commonwealth streams, rivers, and water bodies. In 2022, Northampton County was allocated $1,095,543. All funds have been allocated to projects and operating expenses and will be spent by the end of this calendar year. In the fiscal year 24-25 state budget, the State Conservation Commission allocated Northampton County $240,000 for projects, and that must be spent by the end of 2026. A little bit more about the ACAP program. The purpose is to provide financial and technical assistance for the implementation of specific best management practices on agricultural operations within the Commonwealth. The main purpose is to reduce non-point source pollution to streams, rivers, and water bodies. So far to date in Northampton County, we have completed 6 ACAP projects, 3 waste storage facilities and animal heavy use areas, 3 prescribed grazing system improvements. Those 6 projects totaled $905,000, and all of those projects treated non-point source pollution across 6 agricultural operations in the county. It has improved the operation and functionality of those 6 agricultural operations. The ACAP applications are open year-round. We accept applications anytime from anybody that has a resource concern affecting water quality, whether it's from sedimentation or nutrient pollution. Up to date, we have received 12 new applications. The Farmland Preservation Board reviews these applications and makes recommendations to council to award those grants. These new grant recommendations are based on the Farmland Preservation Board's recommendation. The first one, we still have one outstanding application from the first allocation, and that is the Kneebone Farm. It is a crop and beef cattle operation for a manure storage facility and animal heavy use area. Initially, we awarded $156,000. He requested $200,000. We only had enough money to award him $156,000 initially. Now that we have a new allocation, the board is recommending that we fulfill his full requested $200,000, which would be an additional $44,000. Excuse me, clerk.
Really quick, if you don't mind me asking, Madam Chair, is that okay? This funding, would that come from the 240,000 that you had mentioned as part of the state budget allocation, 2023, 2024, I think it was? Is that where this funding would
Yes,
be
the
coming from?
24,
Okay.
25 allocation.
All right, just want to be clear on that. Thank you.
Because the initial allocation of the 156 ate up that initial $1,095,000 allocation with that and the other 6 completed projects. We have a new application for the Brian Cromer Farm. It's a crop and beef cattle operation. It is for a manure storage facility. The Farmland Preservation Board recommends awarding that application $125,000. The Unites Tree Farm, which is a crop operation, the parcel that we just preserved as the 20,000th acre that he purchased from somebody else had some existing soil erosion conditions that we would like to fix. The Farmland Preservation Board recommends awarding that applicant $45,000. The third new award, the Farmland Preservation Board is recommending awarding $1,640 to Keystone Farm, which is Tim Sipe down in Williams Township, to dairy operation, and that's to have a new certified nutrient management plan written so that we can further address manure storage and proper application to his fields. The fourth application the board is recommending to award funding to is Klein's Dairy. Jacob Klein applied to have his nutrient management plan updated to date with manure, to address manure storage. And these plans will lead to a certified plan that allows them to apply for actual implementation funding. So ACAP, without a solid plan, certified plan, you're not eligible to implement those BMPs because we are unsure of what those BMPs are. The fifth application is for another nutrient management plan. The Farmland Preservation Board recommends awarding $1,750 to Anton Shannon of Good Work Farm for a nutrient management plan because he still uses draft horses, but they produce a lot of manure and he needs to be able to have a plan to store that. And then the final recommendation award from the Farmland Preservation Board is to award Northampton County for the Gulf Farm because there's some existing soil erosion concerns out there from the prior farmer when we had some of those major storms over the past 2.5 years that needs to be addressed. The Farmland Preservation Board recommends awarding them $35,000. So in summary, we have 6 new projects totaling $210,290. We have 1 contract amendment totaling $44,000 for total new grant awards of $254,200. That's higher than the $240 that was allocated because we have accrued interest that must be utilized for projects. So that's all I have on ACAP. Do you guys have any questions?
Can you explain the Kneebone Farm? They applied for $200,000, you said, and
Yes, they applied back in 2023, 2024 when we had the initial allocation of $1,095,000. But because we allocated so much to other projects, we only had $156,000 eligible to allocate to a new project until we received the
44
new.
will get them to 200 this
Yes,
time around.
44 would honor that application. That is actually went to construction last week, and they were pouring the footers yesterday.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other?
Really quick, the applications for 2026 have been mailed out. The latest that we are able to get those back is December 15th.
Okay,
here,
so this was going to be my next slide, upcoming.
Okay.
We have recently mailed out our farmland preservation applications for easement purchases, so this is separate than ACAP. And at the time I wrote this, our period was only open November 1st to December 15th. We submitted a program change to the state board for approval so that we could accept applications year-round. And Tuesday, I received a letter confirming they approved our changes. So we are open for business year-round to
Year-round.
accept applications.
That's great. Okay. Thank you.
And then I wanted to, so the public is aware, applications are available on the county website and at our office. And upon request, we provide one-on-one consultation to discuss the farmland preservation program. And then just as a refresher, here's our new address, the telephone number our office can be reached, as well as the county website where you can find the application.
Yes, really quick, one other question, I'm sorry. Aside from sending farms the actual letters, is there any other follow-up that's done after? I mean, I know the county probably doesn't want to pester these landowners and farm owners at all, but in terms of us wanting to preserve more farmland in the future, just wondering what that level of activity is. Aside from sending the outreach letters, is there any other follow-up with like phone calls or emails or anything?
Past practice, we did not cold call.
Okay.
I'm out in the field quite frequently working with the farmers to implement conservation, so I bump into landowners or farmers that have little knowledge of the farmland preservation program, so I try to inform them and provide them any information they request.
Great, okay.
In the future, we're looking at some more promotional concepts, ideas, working with the municipalities who work with their direct residents more frequently. So we're working on revamping kind of our outreach to make sure that more people are aware of the options available.
Okay. I appreciate that. I think that's absolutely necessary to look at that as somebody who deals in the marketing world and outreach. I think it's absolutely vital that we come up with new concepts and strategies to reach more folks, to let them know about these programs and how we can all work together. Not that you need any help with that, but if you ever do, please feel free to let me know if I can be of any help in any way, because farmland preservation is extremely important to me. So let me know if I can be of any help.
Well, if you guys think of any ideas of other actions we can take, please feel free to share it with us.
Okay, sounds good.
On any concepts and want to brainstorm other potential opportunities for outreach. We would appreciate that.
Great, thank you.
One more question. Are you guys actively searching out any ways to make it easier for farmers to sell, directly to small markets and communities and trying to produce more? I know there's especially up my way, there's a couple markets that are opening up that are selling, farm to market stuff. And I know Monroe County's been helping with them. Have you guys been working at all trying to, localize food chains?
Our main focus is preserving the land and then helping the farmers manage the land. We are starting to get into more outreach and social media of spotlighting some of our retail producers. And we are working with, I think it's Nature and Nurture, with the Lehigh Valley Food Report that'll be coming out early next year, of breaching that gap so that everyone is aware of what opportunities are out there.
Cool, so
we're
it's on your
slowly working
radar,
on
you
them.
guys are kind of working around that topic. I know it's definitely, I wouldn't say it's new, but it's definitely catching more of a trend now. People are trying to buy a little bit more locally, and there's just not that many farmers that are, I guess it's a little bit more expensive, at least to start it. I don't know if it becomes more economical, and I guess that's where the opportunity to help out is, to get them started, because if you're an industrial farmer, it's really easy to get hooked onto that chain, but if you have to go local, it might be a little bit more, at least money to start up.
It can be, in my experience working with some of the local retail, it can be more upfront. I think it's more of them understanding what opportunities are available. So if we can create a mechanism where they can see what works and have it all in front of them, which we've slowly talked with DCED about, and we're at the very precipice of it. So I do think that those are things we are looking into establishing and developing.
Cool, thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a presentation on carbon capture pipelines.
Thank Thank you. My name's Dave Giordano. I'm not from the area. I live in South Jersey, but I work this area. And I'm representing some people from Easton. I was wondering if I might be able to make a phone call with an expert. We're here to talk about carbon capture. And there's a documentary, the Unearthing the Carbon Capture Pipeline. And the producer of the documentary, in case I say anything wrong or have a question, would I be able to put her on? Anybody object to that? Is that okay? All right, thank you. Anyway, I don't know if you're familiar with a bill that was passed in Pennsylvania, 831 last year, carbon capture pipeline. Hold on one second. I'm going to just put her on, see if she can hear. Her name's Rebecca. Thanks for your patience. I'll tell her to call me. Okay. Anyway, I guess I should ask, are you familiar with carbon capture pipeline, Bill? Okay. So it passed Bill 831, introduced by Gene Yaw. And these pipelines are coming across the country. They're going through Iowa and South Dakota, and they're to take CO2, these massive machines that are to take CO2 out of the sky for supposed global warming reasons and some other reasons too. These massive machines actually put more CO2 into the air than they take out, if that's some of the purpose, and then liquefies this CO2, which is a very, very intensive process, and puts them into the ground. Now the bill allows, and this is what's happening in South Dakota and in Iowa, companies to go in and use eminent domain, and this is a threat to private property for our local farmers. The stories in the documentary that the farmers are going through are frightening. Once they go in and put these pipelines in, they destroy part of the land and the crop yield goes down, and the amount of food will go down. The other thing is when they put these, using eminent domain, which is illegal use of eminent domain, they're using government eminent domain and then giving it to private company Summit to put this in. When they do that, in the paperwork, now that company owns part of the farm. I mean, if you're a farmer and you just want to put a fence up, you now have to ask this company. This land is no longer yours. I can't get into the details. I was hoping Rebecca was available. She knew I was calling, although she got called away. But when you go to sell your land or do anything to it, you need permission from Summit. So you don't own your land any longer. Once that CO2 is pressurized, it becomes extremely dangerous. I had a couple slides, I don't know if they're up, but in Satarsi, Mississippi, it's extreme pressure. If the pipeline breaks, which everything breaks, nothing, it's sequestered there forever, used for some purposes, but these, if that pipeline breaks, they said the people of Satarsi would have all died. There's no oxygen in the air for miles. Most of them were, many of them were hospitalized, 48 people out of 50 there were hospitalized. So when I ask is, if this pipeline comes through here, does your emergency response have a plan for this? Is there any plan that if this pipeline breaks, if it's allowed to go through? Hopefully it's not allowed to go through because I believe it's illegal use of eminent domain and a threat to our food system. So that's what I wanted to present, and the county, what they're finding is the state senators can stop it. They didn't in Pennsylvania. In other areas they will. They are. The other thing that can stop it is Congressman Scott Perry has introduced a bill in 1946 to repeal the 45Q funding. And if that goes through, it would die because they're basically being paid to put these pipelines in, Summit, this private company. The other thing that prevents it is the county commissioners. For you to put ordinances in, and Summit has threatened other county commissioners in the documentary. There are farmers in the documentary. There are county commissioners in the documentary said we were threatened by Summit Communications, saying if you put so much of an ordinance that says that pipeline has to go below 4 feet or anything, we will sue you. We will come after you. Luckily, these county commissioners aren't intimidated. They take their oath to the Constitution and their oath of office and their community seriously, and they're fighting them. So I was hoping she would call because she could probably answer questions because she's working on it all across the country, and she's the producer of a documentary, and she knew I was calling. But that's all I wanted to present. I have some information from a farmer that I left with you and how you can help fight this, or possibly if you have questions, you could also view the documentary, Unearthing the Carbon Capture Pipeline. I could forward that to you by email and watch it. It's about 54 minutes long. So just want to thank you for your time. If you have a question, I don't know if I can answer it, but I just wanted to bring this information to your attention.
What does Bill 831 explicitly say? Do you know for?
Not off the top. Actually, on one of the slides, I showed it, but I didn't show the whole thing. But I can email that to you too. I don't have it off the top of my head in it.
Really quick,
Yeah.
is there a proposal right now that is potentially going to be going through Northampton, that a pipeline would be going through Northampton County?
I know it comes up, I don't have the exact, I know it comes up through York County and up through into Berks, and I believe up here into Lehigh. I don't know if it hits Easton
Northampton
exactly,
County.
but it's coming into this area. It's not going into Delaware County or anything like that, but it's making an S up into this area. And that would be something that or you could check into. So.
Are there any pipelines in New Jersey?
No, but I have been going, have meetings from throughout New Jersey, and we've been watching the documentary, and I'm telling people that there are 4 bills in New Jersey that look like they're about to push the carbon capture pipeline, and to contact their state representative. I said, you still have time in Pennsylvania, and you know, I'm sorry, in New Jersey, but in Pennsylvania it's already passed. So I'm working. I was up in Connecticut, informing people up there. There were bills there, and just to let you know, I'm a volunteer. Well, I'm sorry, I was a volunteer for the John Birch Society for 27 years, and then I came on staff about 3 years ago. And I'm a Northeast Regional Director. I'm the coordinator. So for as a coordinator, my territory is Delaware, South Jersey, and Pennsylvania. We're nonpartisan. Obviously, in this case, oops, I think I just actually I think that might have been her trying to call in. Let me just check here. No. Unless she was calling on a different number. And as a Northeast Regional Director, I have coordinators under me in New England and Virginia, Washington area, and Western Pennsylvania, Ohio, and I supervise those coordinators, and they do the same thing. And our only goal is to educate people and teach them how to take action. We don't care if you're Democrat. We don't care if you're Republican. Right now, Gene Yaw introduced this bill, and when he introduced the bill 2 years ago, I was running around telling people this was coming, and they said, what are you talking about? And then it passed. So.
Did I just see something in the UN? They passed a global, or they're trying to pass a global carbon tax?
Yes, and I did have some slides, and I promised that I'll take your lead, because someone said we don't want it to turn political. I said it's kind of hard to talk about machines that want to take CO2 out of the sky and not talk about where this is coming from. Now, the president of the John Birch Society, William F. Jasper, He was at the first Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, and he wrote about how they're going to use CO2 and the environment to implement all these restrictions on people. And he was there. He was there for every single Earth Summit until 2015, and then he handed the baton off to Alex Newman. So when we get this information, this is not our opinion. In our publications, we say what they said. And actually, there's issues of our magazine. This is the Earth Summit 2 years ago. This is the one 3 years ago. And this is the one last year. Everything they said they're going to do. They're going to defossil us. We will not have enough energy. In the meantime, China is putting tons and tons of CO2 out into the sky, and they will overtake us in power. And so this is all word for word from what the UN says. So this all came from something called the IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in 1992 at the first Earth Summit. And I had slides up there that said what they said, and they said every person on Earth will adhere to this. And this is all, the CO2 pipeline is a part of a plan that they unveiled at the first Earth Summit. I show it on the slide, the document. You can buy a copy of it. The Agenda 21 document. It's a real document. Nancy Pelosi talked about it on the floor of Congress. So did President Bush Sr., saying that we support this and signed it. And then they changed it to Agenda 2030 when they didn't get it implemented. And then in 2015, they introduced the SDGs, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, which will control every single aspect of your life. Your healthcare, your housing, your food. One of the things that connects to this that I'm talking about is the World Economic Forum and the United Nations just formed the World Food Alliance. Why is the United Nations forming the World Food Alliance? Well, they formed the World Health Organization so they can control all health. They control the International Monetary Fund, they control all finance. They controlled started the ICC to control all laws. And they started the WTO, which is the World Trade Organization, so they can control all commerce. Well, the reason why they're forming the World Economic or the World Food Alliance is so they can control all food. The article that I handed out to you here explains it in, or is it, not Norway, the Netherlands. They basically shut down a third of the farms. Now, the Netherlands is one of the strongest suppliers of food across the world, and it's only about the size of Maryland. When you shut down 1/3 of the farms, people are going to starve. That's coming to the United States. And it's coming through, and the CO2 pipelines are just one part of it. And you could talk to the farmers in Norway, in Netherlands. But the article I gave you are farmers, and you can hear the farmers that are under threat because cow flatulence is causing global warming. Nitrogen, according to them, is causing global warming. So you're tying the hands behind the farmer's back. You can't produce enough crop yield if you don't have nitrogen. If you have enough fertilizer. So it's amazing because every year there are fewer and fewer farms, but yet in the United States, there's more and more food until recently. As those farms get shut down, there'll be less and less food.
And you said that the documentary is unearthing the carbon dioxide pipeline?
Unearthing the CO2 pipeline. And I could email that to you. You can watch it for free.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was really great.
I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, with that, that's the end of the agenda. We'll adjourn.